Let's talk about Godzilla Minus One, because, it's so much more than just a great monster movie. It's this incredibly profound story about the monsters we all carry inside. We're going to dive deep into how this film uses a city-stomping kaiju to tell a really human story about trauma, survivor's guilt, and that messy, desperate fight to heal.
And really, this one idea, the emotional response to threatened death, that is the absolute key to unlocking why this movie feels so powerful. Its entire story is built on this foundation of trauma, both on a massive national scale and a deeply, deeply personal one.
So, to really get a handle on the monster in this movie, we first have to understand the real-world history that brought him to life. See, Godzilla has never, ever been just a giant lizard. He's always been a metaphor.
And this quote, it just nails it. It explains that Godzilla, from his very beginning, has always been Japan's way of processing the unthinkable horror of nuclear war. He's a walking, roaring symbol of that collective pain. And this film, well, it doesn't just hint at this metaphor, it makes it impossible to ignore. When Godzilla unleashes his atomic breath, it's not just some generic energy blast. It's a terrifying walking mushroom cloud, a direct echo of the images that were seared into Japan's national memory.
But here's where things get really interesting. This national trauma isn't just some historical backdrop. It is etched into every single character. What makes this film so brilliant is that every person we meet is already broken by World War II, before Godzilla even attacks. The monster isn't the cause of their pain. He's the catalyst that forces them to finally face it.
I mean, just look at our main characters. You've got Koichi, a kamikaze pilot who flinched, and now he's just crippled by this crushing survivor's guilt, this profound feeling that he should have died with his comrades. Then there's Noriko, who lost her entire family in the firebombings. This group isn't just a bunch of survivors. They're a found family made of ghosts, all trying to rebuild not just a city, but their own shattered lives.
And the depth of this trauma is it's staggering. Get this, the film's novelization gives us this absolutely devastating insight into Koichi's mind. He genuinely doesn't believe he deserves to be alive. He sees his new life with Noriko and Akiko as a sort of temporary dream, a purgatory he has to get through before the death he feels he earned when he failed his mission.
So how does the film show us all this internal pain? Well, that's where the action comes in. Every spectacular, city-destroying sequence is basically designed as a crucible, a high-pressure test that forces the character's deepest, most buried emotions right to the surface.
And as Script Mag puts it so well here, Godzilla isn't just the bad guy. He's a storytelling tool. He's the catalyst, the trigger that just cracks open those emotional shells these people have built around themselves just to get by. The Ginza attack is the perfect example. Up until this point, Koichi has been totally paralyzed by his guilt, right? But when Godzilla attacks, what's his first instinct? He runs into the destruction to find Noriko. In that moment, his actions are screaming what his words never could. His fear for her life is finally stronger than his fear of his own.
And then when he loses her, his words are just heartbreaking. It's my fault for thinking I could dream again. The monster forces him to face his absolute deepest fear, the fear of connecting with someone only to have them ripped away. It's not just a plot twist, it's the film tearing away his very last defense.
Okay, another thing this movie does so brilliantly is make the invisible weight of guilt feel completely real and tangible. It uses these really powerful, simple visual symbols to show us exactly what the characters are feeling on the inside. You know that shrine Koichi builds for his parents? It just sits there in his home, this constant physical presence in almost every single scene. And it's so much more than just an object. It's the physical manifestation of the ghosts that are haunting him, a visual reminder of his unresolved grief. And it's the same thing with that envelope he carries around, the one with the photos of the men who died on Odo Island, the men he feels he failed. It's literally a physical burden, and every time he pulls it out, you can just feel the weight of his guilt. It's such a brilliant way to show us the burden he's carrying, not just tell us. And if that wasn't heavy enough, the novelization gives a chilling voice to that symbol. To Koichi, those aren't just pictures. They're his accusers. And they're constantly asking him the central question of survivor's guilt. Why are you still alive? Okay, so all of this, the trauma, the guilt, the unspoken love, it all comes to a head and just explodes in the film's climax. And it leads to one of the most powerful character resolutions I've seen in a long, long time. And what's so incredible is the symmetry of it all. It's the perfect bookend to his story. Think about it. His war began when he fled a kamikaze mission to save himself. It ends with him choosing to fly one to save everybody else. He has to confront the exact moment of failure that has defined his entire life. And can we just talk about the plan itself for a second? It's genius. It's not a big military operation, it's a civilian one. You have this group of broken veterans, totally abandoned by their government, who use their collective knowledge and trauma to come up with this desperate, brilliant plan to save their own damn future. But here's the thing. Underneath that official plan, Koichi has his own secret mission. This is his one chance to finally end his war, but this time it's on his own terms. He's turning his greatest act of shame into his greatest act of sacrifice. But, and this is so, so crucial, his final act isn't just about making up for his past mistakes. The novelization makes it crystal clear that his ultimate motivation is love. He's not running from his guilt anymore. He's fighting for Akiko's future. And then there's this one detail from the novelization that just, wow. At the very end, as the men salute, they aren't just saluting their fallen friends. They're also saluting the monster itself. They see Godzilla not as some evil force, but as the ultimate victim of the war, a creature twisted by pain, created by the exact same forces that scarred every single one of them. And when you put it all together, you see what the film is really trying to say. The battle against Godzilla was never really about killing a monster. It was about these broken people fighting like hell to reclaim their own humanity. To find a reason, any reason, to live in a world that had already taken everything from them. The film gives us this moment of hope, but then it leaves us with one last absolutely chilling question. Noriko is alive, yes, but she's marked by the monster, and Godzilla's heart is still beating down there in the depths. So you're left wondering, is the war really over? Can trauma ever truly be defeated, or does it just regenerate, waiting for its moment to rise again?